So a well-run mastermind group is going to have a few very basic rules that are kind of universal that my experience has shown me really resonates and helps to hold things together. One is who can attend the group. And screening and onboarding a candidate to become a member, you need really to look for somebody that is can implement change in their sphere. You don't want like a subordinate or somebody that's got to go back and sell the concept to somebody else. They've got to be the person essentially in charge of what it is they're trying to impact. And they should never be allowed to send a substitute. That's just a rule. It doesn't happen. It's very disruptive. Another rule that I think is probably the most important overarching rule that everybody really needs to respect is confidentiality. There needs to be a environment of safety for everybody there, and confidentiality, essentially what takes place and what's discussed in the group stays in the group regardless of what it is. A third one is attendance and participation. This is probably one of the most disruptive problems with any group, is when members begin to start skipping a meeting, and usually the reason why they might skip a meeting or wandering late is they begin to think of themselves first, and they forget that one of the reasons they're attending is to help their peers in the group. So if they skip a meeting, they're cheating the other members of that benefit. And then participation, I've seen people come into meetings and hump over their cell phone, or take a call and jump up and run out of the meeting, or check out. Maybe they're called on and they have no idea what's being discussed. So a really important rule is show up to all the meetings or events, and show up on time. Don't leave early. Engage in full participation while it's there. If a person does not feel that they can do that, then they're probably not a good client, a good candidate for the meeting, for the group. Another really important rule is that feedback should be unbiased and constructive in nature. Part of the facilitator's job is to help get the peers to guide each other. And guidance can address a negative issue, but it shouldn't be a negative takeaway for the participant. So to go and browbeat somebody and say, for instance, that you don't like their attitude or their approach is not at all constructive. But you can address really uncomfortable situations where, say, somebody's avoiding coming to terms with a very difficult issue in a positive, very family-like, supporting way. And so that should be an important overarching rule for the group. Another real important one is no conflicts of interest. Occasionally, this doesn't come up very often, but occasionally you may have a member in a group that realizes that there's a conflict of interest, such as another member there may be negotiating a lease, and they have a friend that maybe is a property owner or something like that. And so anytime that another member in the group sees that there could be some conflict of interest, it's on them to just simply expose that fact and allow themselves to step out of the room. And finally, I think this is really important to any actual, true, honest-to-God mastermind group, and that is accountability. And so the members should be held accountable to each other and the facilitator for things as making a commitment for what they're going to do long-term as a goal and any objectives they may set. And they should be accountable to any commitments that they make to the group for what they're going to do, say, between meetings, and fulfill those commitments and allow themselves to be held accountable. Best way to make sure that people abide by your rules is to put them in writing, and as the people are screened to become members, and as they're onboarded as members of a group, then you go over those individually and make sure that the person understands, and then have them sign something that has them spelled out. But more importantly, once they get started in the group, you have to reinforce and make sure that the rules are not broken. Otherwise, then they don't really mean anything.